mom really wants me to finish school. You know, I'm learning school, but like if I split it, like that means I'm learning half as much on the job.
Yeah.
And then I'm doing the other half at school. But school is just teaching you, like, hypothetically speaking, if you work at a retail store, you had, you know, like, it's all just numbers and plugging in, being aware of the systems. And I would go to like the actual industry and they're like, we're not familiar with that system.
You are now tuning in to Kickspot with Jinu Park and Migs.
And we're back at the Kickspot. Exciting stuff. Exciting. We got a special guest. I just want to go right into it.
Oh man, I've been wanting to.
I've been wanting to go right into it. So we got our friend David in the building here.
I'm so stoked for this.
And interesting way that David and I met. So I was having a trip out in Cabo, and my sister said, we're going to go to Los Todos Santos, right?
Los Todos Santos.
Sí.
Okay.
And so we decided to drive up there. It was an hour drive from Cabo. And then we went to a Instagram-worthy location. And they were sitting next to us, you know, a few tequila. I mean, when we got there, they were saying that alcohol was closed at 5.
Okay.
So we got there like 4:59, right?
And then they can give you alcohol.
They wouldn't give us alcohol, but if we had cash, then they would serve us alcohol.
Yeah, keep in mind though that him and I were kind of sitting back to back. You know,
Okay.
I was with my girl, he was with his fam, and we overheard. Like we knew the 5 o'clock cutoff time. We knew, so we had like bought 3 bottles of wine for later, like purchase later, some tequila, whatever, and then I heard them say like, "Oh, we're only selling lemonade." Like literally said like, "We'll serve you a lemonade, but like, oh, it's 5 o'clock." It was like 4:59. You know, and they were just giving him a hard time. I was like, "Oh, like they're not hooking them up," you know. And I felt bad, you know. But I was like, "We only got 3 bottles. Like we should have got like 2, you know, because it was like it was 3 of them." So I was like, I feel bad. Like, do I say something? And they were giving them a hard time, and I was like, "Oh, you know what? Like, they can't sell after 5 on the card on record, but if you give them like
cash.
$80, you know, they'll give you a bottle and they'll mix your margaritas.
Oh,
or whatever.
got it.
Yeah, yeah. So that's how kind of like we broke the ice. We're like, you know what?
That's how y'all met?
Yeah, I was like, let's help him out real quick.
That's
you know,
what's
like,
up.
And David was celebrating his birthday as well too. So
Cool,
I mean, you know, like a bottle in, you know, we're just loving every conversation that was happening, and we started talking, and you know, it got to a point where I asked, I think my sister asked him like, "Hey, what do you do?" And he's like, "Oh, I work for Rhude," and I was like, "Okay, that's cool, whatever." You know?
Yeah. They were just like,
What
is that like a
what is that?
menswear?
Yeah, tequila?
Yeah.
David was like, "Yeah, have you heard of Rhude?" And I'm like, "No." Let's just take more drinks though.
No worries. No, we don't just speak on it. You know, like we're just enjoy yourselves. Cool.
So then, you know, I get back, and then I'm like, "Hey man, I met some cool people, you know, on the trip. I met this guy. He works for Rhude." And then right when I said Rhude, I looked at the hat, and Migs was wearing a Rhude hat, and I was like, "Oh shit, that's the brand. Like, do you know the brand?" He's like,
I was like,
"Yo."
you see me wear this thing all the fucking time.
Yeah, I'm like, "Yo, like, what do you?" He's like, "Yo, what are you talking about, dude? That's like a big thing, whatever." And I was like, "Oh, all right, cool."
Well, that's just the reason why I'm excited, because like I'm streetwear, right? Grew up in it. I'm the part of culture, you know. So are you. You know what I mean?
Well, I always take advice from him. So that's the reason why when you said Rhude, I'm like, I don't really know. So I mean, he was introduced. Like I look at his fit, and it's like I see Balenciaga and stuff like that. And I was like, what is that? He took me to my first like Balenciaga like store, or whatever. And then I saw a T-shirt. It was like $2,200. I was like, are you serious? Like, this is absolutely crazy, because me, I'm just like growing up poor. It was like whatever, right?
I grew up poor too, bro. I grew up in the Philippines, dog. With chinelas, you know what I mean?
Yeah, with chanclas. But you know, but you know, I mean, I don't know like how you got into like the fashion thing. I just never like, when I grew up, I was never all about like the fixed up car or anything like that. I never cared about like the clothing, as long as I was just very blessed to be in wherever I was. And so he starts introducing me to a lot more clothing, and you know, during when I was like touring and stuff like that, he was like, okay. He was like my designer guy, and he was like, you got to wear this, this, and this. And he would come over just to dress me up just before my show. So
yeah, 100.
That's the only thing that's related to the fashion thing. But David, give us a little background on yourself.
Introduction of yourself, sir.
Okay, so I guess how I got involved with the industry. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was going about life, you know. I went to community college. I did teacher program because I like working with students. I realized how much they got paid, and I was like, you know what, this lifestyle that I envisioned in my head, like, it's not meeting that number, you know. So I took the nursing program, started that. I was like, yeah, nurses make money, you know. I'm about to started like seeing the blood, and I was like, you know, I can't. Like, this is not me. Like, I like money, but like, there's got to be a medium, you know. And as I was going through school, like, book work wasn't really my thing, but like, I was always like talking to people, like, they're like, oh, you dress well, you know. And it was just, you know, you'd go into Urban at the time, you know, Zoomies at the time, where that was like my upbringing of, you know, fashion, whatever. But I would always get compliments like, oh, like, you know, you color coordinate, whatever. And I just always bypass it like, oh, okay, thanks. Cool. Like some chicks telling me, you know, okay. Drip. And I was like, you know what? Like, what am I going to do? You know? And I started looking into FIT'em. I was like, fashion. Okay. Took the tour. They sat me down. They let me know how much it was. And I was like, there's no way I can go back and tell my mother that I'm going to get out of community college and I'm going to ask for a loan of X amount, you know. But I did it. I was like, I did the meeting. I got the paperwork. I went back home like, this is it. I could pay attention in these classes, you know. I feel comfortable. Like, I'm confident. And she's just like, I mean, if that's a check, you know. Like, if that's something you want to do, like, I can't afford to just put you in that environment and pay the fee, because you're going to come out in debt, and the last thing I want is for you to come out of that in debt. So what I can do is I'll put you in LA Trade Tech. It's a technical trade school, you know, and they have pretty direct courses. You know, you want to do merchandising, you want to do development, you want to do design, you know, technical design, whatever you want to do, like, you'll learn individually. And she was like, oh, if you find yourself doing well, you get a couple credits that are transferable, like, you can go into FIT'em and we'll pay less. I was like, okay. I was like, cool. Yeah, you know what? I'll show you. I'll prove to you that this is what I'm about to do. This is, you know, what I'm meant for. Organically, I feel comfortable. And while I was at Trade Tech, I was doing fashion merchandising and product development. And one of the courses was I needed to get an internship. So the teachers are connected with people in LA. They're like, oh, you know, this showroom needs help, yada, yada. But it was like fast fashion. It was like girls' clothes, like super small showrooms. And I was like, this is not the fashion I was thinking I was gonna do, you know? I was thinking, you know, I would be closer to like, do I get to pick menswear, or like, do I start at a boutique, or like, I didn't know what it was, but I was like, there's no way people are coming to this school and going to a boutique. Like, I don't know. You know, I'm doing product development, and I'm looking at retail internships. Like, retail is cool, but like, I'm not learning how to sell product at school. I'm learning how to make it. I'm, you know, how to design it, whatever. And I ended up getting my first internship at a menswear company called Mr. Completely. Super small time, just word of mouth. At the time, actually, I was working at Revolve, just doing
clothing?
Clothing, just doing labor. I was in the warehouse. First job ever. Backtrack. First job ever, I was at UPS. I was familiar with boxes, organizing. You know? No,
this sounds familiar.
Humble beginnings.
Yeah. So at the Revolve, I was like, oh, they're looking for a logistics specialist. I was like, I did that for 2 years at UPS. I was like, this is fashion, boxes. This is how I'm gonna make money while I go to school. You know? And while I was working there, I was realizing like the people that I was working with, like, we were not on the same page. Like, I was working with like abuelitas and people that were just looking for a warehouse job. They didn't even know what Revolve was. They were just like, oh, mijo, like, yeah, you know, work hard and they pay good, but like their pay good is just like paying, minimum wage. And I'm just like, you guys know you guys get a discount, like 50%. You guys aren't using your checks. And they're like, no, like, our money goes to rent, you know, and my checks were going to clothes. And I was like, all right, like, I'm going to be stuck in this circle of working to put my paycheck back into Revolve.
But you would look good.
I would look good, though. I'd be going to school like, yes, Balenci. You see the YSL? You know, like, in the back of my head, though, I was like, I got that like 75% off. You know, like, I was like confident, but I was like, I'm either going to look good and be broke in school, or, you know, I gotta leave Revolve. You know, I gotta leave Revolve because like, I was applying. They say like once you're in, like, you could apply within, but that warehouse worker is like the bare minimum. Like, you're basically like, it's bare minimum. Like, I have zero experience. I haven't graduated school. I have nothing to show. So I can't really apply with a certificate or anything because I'm working towards this. Like, oh, I'm in the program. And they're like, oh, like, it's a little difficult, you know? So I was like, you know what? Like being at Revolve, like it's taking me away from school. Like I really just need to immerse myself like into fashion. If this is what I'm gonna do, I can't just do work part-time and then school part-time and expect like both of them to just come together and give me success. So I saw one of the brands that we held, which was Mr. Completely, post like, oh, intern needed 9 to 5, Monday through Friday.
Was it paid or it was just
unpaid?
Oh, tough.
And I was sitting there like, you know what? Like this is like, I'm still at home, you know, like I don't have to pay rent.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna have a life for a bit, but like this is the leap I need to do. Like the logistics center was in Cerritos, so I used to live in La Mirada.
Oh, that's
Cerritos
close.
is right next to it.
Close, yeah.
I was like, yo, I'm going from Cerritos to an internship in downtown LA with no pay. I was like,
let's do it.
Yeah, there was a couple months I was like, you know what? Like I don't see internship posts often on my feed, so I was like, I'm gonna just do it. I sent over my resume, let them know I was at Revolve. They were familiar with Revolve because they had to ship their clothes there. You know, they're one of our accounts, someone within. They know the product, you know, whatever. And he does logistics. And at the time, they needed help, like, organizing the warehouse. So I was like, oh, yeah, you know, you guys need help doing inventory. I come from logistics background. I'm trying to do fashion. I'm in the merchandising program across the way. And they were just like, all right, you know, checked all the boxes, called me back. And they're like, all right, you know, like, we could use you. And I ended up only moving boxes, you know, like literally like, all right, count this box of denim.
Oh, that's cool then.
Let me know.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, I'm comfortable, but I'm not getting paid. Yeah. I'm not learning too much, you know, but it's okay. Part of the process. I can't expect to just be designing clothes or manufacturing off the hots. And I was there for 3 months, no pay. I ended up learning a little bit of production. Got my hands on a couple of things, got familiar with places like they wash fabric at, you know, just basic construction knowledge. Yeah. I kind of learned there. But after those 3 months, they're like, hey, you know, like, unfortunately, like, there's no job opportunity. Like,
oof.
Like, the company, there's just no room to grow. You know, like, thank you for your help. But we heard this brand, Rhude, needs help.
Oh. Wait, like, so from Mr. Completely.
From Mr. Completely.
Straight to Rhude. What year was this? No.
This was 2017.
Okay.
So from that, I was like, oh, okay, like, are they paying?
Yeah.
And then the guy that gave me the lead was just like, I don't know. Like, I just heard.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have a contact. I don't have information. I just heard, you know, there's a lot of people that sew in this building. They sew some stuff here. I just heard they need help. And they didn't give me a contact, so I was like, I mean, what do I go and apply and assume they're gonna pay? Because I can't afford anything at this point. Yeah. Like, I got nothing. I'm going home and I'm telling my friends like, yo, I can't go out on the weekends. Like, don't hit me up. I'm full-time school, full-time work, whatever, every excuse in the book, because like I just can't afford it. Mm-hmm. And from that internship, I was just on Indeed. I saw that the Boring Company was looking for labor work.
Yeah.
And this is when they were digging their first tunnel in Hawthorne, and it was 2-month contract, $30 an hour, unlimited work. And I was like, this is what I need. You know, like, I'm not going to do fashion, but like, I need money. Like, I'm still not going out on the weekends. I just need to get money back so that I could figure out, like, I don't know, do I go back to Revolve with this internship and try and get something? I don't know, but I needed money. So I started working, just literally digging tunnels for the labor, for the Boring Company, day in, day out. 2 months came up. They're like, hey, it was just contracted. There's no job at the end of this, so thank you for your service. If there's any opportunity on another tunnel, we'll reach out because you're a good employee, yada, yada. And then from that, I was like, all right, I'm getting back into the industry, but I'm gonna be picky. Like, I'm not just gonna go to the little boutique. I'm not gonna go, like, if it's not like top 3, like I can afford to stay at home. Yeah. I got in the habit of not going out, so I was still sitting on money, and I was like, I'm just gonna reach out. I don't know if Rhude is still looking for people, but the last time I heard they were, I went on the contact, sent over my resume, say, hey, I have this experience with my past internship. I'm currently in school trying to pursue, fashion merchandising, yada, yada. And they ended up reaching out saying, yeah, you know what, we do need help. We just moved into this new warehouse down the street. Mm-hmm. We need help relocating all the stuff because we're growing a bit. So my first day was counting boxes again.
He's like, you never got away. You never got away.
Because like, logistics actually carried me like to where I am at today, and like, hadn't I done that box work, like, I don't know if they would have wanted me on the team, because at the time there wasn't any like in-house designs, in-house fabrics. There was nothing. There was like the first order of shoes they did, and my job was to just make sure the inventory is correct. I was like, all right, cool. I've been doing this passenger ship. Yeah. I was doing a Revolve. I was doing UPS. Like, this is bread and butter. Like, quick. All right, what's next? What do you guys need? And they're like, organize the shelves. Like, I don't know. I was like, all right, cool. Organize the shelves. You know, like, it was small at the time. Like, anything that was in front of me was like easily done, because I was just like, what else? Like, what else do you guys need? And
was that still 2017?
No. This is we are in 2018 now.
Okay, so that's the year after.
Yeah.
Okay.
2018, helping out just with the infrastructure of the new place. You know, they ordered some shelving. I was like in a U-Haul picking up bookshelf, like basically designing the interior of this place. You know, with their request, like, hey, go pick this up. We bought this furniture from so and so, whatever. And I just became that guy that was like, yo, we need something done. Like, can you help out?
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with fashion, just building the business, you know, shelving, chairs, stuff's coming from IKEA. Can you build it? Whatever it was, like, I was helping out. And it got to the point where there was a lot of accounts. Nordstrom was growing, Saks Fifth was growing, like all these accounts were growing. And there was a lot of overages in the warehouse. And like, hey, we have a lot of overages, like a lot of product that doesn't have a home. If you can curate like a selection, you know, 2-to-1 ratio, 2 tops per 1 bottom. If you could curate a selection, we're gonna do our first e-commerce drop. The accounts have been paying for a lot of this stuff, but we got to go straight to e-commerce.
Is that the Rhude Bowl? Is that when Rhude Bowl was like?
Rhude Bowl was based off of leftover stuff.
Right, that's why I asked.
Yeah.
Okay.
Initially, I guess it was e-commerce, and then once we couldn't sell through any more stuff, it became Rhude Bowl. It became Rhude Bowl. So after putting together those first e-com drops, like, it was the first time we seen numbers on a website. Like, it was the first time, you know, and it was like, we didn't know we could sell this. You know, this was just stuff that was in the back that was unorganized, and they were just kind of like, hey, you know, let's fix this up. Let's create a system here. Shirts, t-shirts, hoodies, pants, accessories, whatever it was at the time. And we would pull from it, you know, like 20 shirts, 30 hoodies, whatever it was there. We'd put it online. It'd sell out. They'd be like, David, we sold out of this tee. Like, give me a spread of small, medium, large, extra large, 1, 2, 2, 1, whatever. And I would go inventory it, like, what else is sold out, inventory it. And it got to the point where we ended up selling through everything that we could, and whatever we couldn't ended up turning into Rhude Bowl. But it was like, oh, we've never seen this side of the business before.
Yeah.
Because it was just accounts where like, hey, I'll order this hoodie times 5, whatever it was, whatever the number was. So we were making clothes for the accounts. And when I came in, they're like, oh, like, we have extra hands now. Like, let's see if we could sell clothes on our website. Yeah. And it ended up doing crazy good. Yeah. So it did so good that it was just like another form of income for the company. And they're like, you know, we only need you here 2 days a week, but we do the Rhude Bowl on the weekends at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena.
Yep.
We can't ask you to come in, but if you want to volunteer, you know, like, you could come help out. I was like, yeah, of course. You know, like, I inventory everything. Like, I'm gonna inventory the Rhude Bowl. You know, so I was like, okay, I put the boxes together. We set up our first Rhude Bowl. It did great, and it was like, all right, you know, like, we need help. You know, and at the time, I was like, look, I know you guys aren't asking for it, but I see more value in me showing up here than I do learning from school, because, like, I'm doing it, you know, like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing it, you know, I'm doing it. Whatever you need in here, like, I'm doing it. And they're like, I mean, we can't ask for you to come in because you are, you know, going through school and credits only allow you 2 days a week. But, you know, if you want to help out, like, I'm not going to not say no. I'm not going to say you can't come in. So I was like, all right, you know, I thought about it, and, you know, I was like, my mom really wants me to finish school. You know, I'm learning school, but, like, if I split it, like, that means I'm learning half as much on the job. Yeah. And then I'm doing the other half at school. But school is just teaching you, like, hypothetically speaking, if you worked at a retail store, you had, you know, like, it's all just numbers and plugging in, being aware of the systems. And I would go to, like, the actual industry, and they're like, we're not familiar with that system that they're teaching you. You know, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's a new system that school developed and they want to teach you because they want to pitch it to the industry. I'm not sure. But the stuff I was learning, I wasn't able to apply it to Rhude. So I was just like, you know what? Like, I feel like I'm the type of person that, like, I learn better when I do it. Yeah. So I told my mom, I was like, look, I'm going to take a semester off. And I guarantee you,
hey, your mom's
after she was like, what are you doing? You know, she was, what are you doing? She's like, I just need you to finish school and then you make your own decisions. Just finish school, please.
Moms.
And I was like, look, I know, like, give me a semester. And I know if I give them, like, a full semester of work, I'm going to become essential. Like, I'll be like, if you try and take me away from the program, they're going to be texting me and asking me to come in. So like, if I give them my all for this semester, I promise you that I will come back with a job.
Yeah.
And she was like, if that, I mean, I'm not going to say I approve, you know, but like, if that's what you need to do, like, that's what you need to do. Like, I'm not in the industry. I don't know anything about the industry. You know, I've only known bookwork, and bookwork's got me to where I'm at. So I can only tell you that bookwork's going to get you where you need to be.
Yeah.
But I was like, you don't know where I need to be, okay? Yeah. But I mean, it ended up turning into a job position, you know, like right before the semester was over, we did our first ever fashion show in Paris. And I wasn't even part of the...
Was that still 2018 or is it 2019?
2019.
2019. Yeah, okay.
First Paris show. And they were like, hey, like, we need someone to get the samples, like, inventoried and made sure they get to Paris in time. We can't ship it. There's no wiggle room. There's no room for error. Like, if one of these luggages get lost, the show, that could be a showpiece, whatever. So we need someone to travel with all the samples, 15 luggages, and get it there safely. I was like, all right, sign me up, you know, like, sign me up. And that's when I was like, yeah, like, this is what I'm trying to do.
So what is your current role for Rhude at the moment? Like, what is your title for Rhude at the moment?
Is there even a title?
Is there even a title?
At the moment, it's a small company. There's a lot of hats, but at the moment, it's product development.
Okay.
/ production assistant.
Okay.
/ e-commerce.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, from your story, from your background, it seems like you do have your hands in a lot of items for Rhude. So
like, starting off, it was just like, hey, inventory these things. And then it was like, what styles do we have available? And I was just familiar with the product. Mm-hmm. And then it turned into like being aware of like the fabrics we use, what fabrics went on which styles. And now I could plug in fabrics per the style. And then after that, it was just like seeing more product, like, made me more knowledgeable. And that's where the product development task came from.
Got
you know,
it.
because I was seeing the product, I was seeing the fabric, I was overseeing it being constructed. I had inputs on what other people were constructing. So I'd be like, hey, you know, like, have we tried this technique, whatever. And it got to the point where I was just knowledgeable about construction of garments and fabrication. So then they were like, oh, like, if you want, like, there's not anyone, like, from sample to production, you're supposed to revise it. Maybe there's something that you overlooked, whatever. There was nobody like perfecting the garment. So they're like, oh, if you want, you know, you kind of see most of the garments. If you see anything that we can improve on between the sample time and production time, like, let us know, you know. And it ended up turning like, oh, what do you think about this product? Like, what could we do? It's like, oh, you know what? We could try this sewing method. We could line it with this fabric to make it more breathable, whatever. And that's where the product development came from.
Got it. Dude, so the growth that I saw from Rhude was, I remember when Jay-Z and then Bron started like rocking it, and then next thing you know, I follow league fits. I follow heavily, right? And I started seeing NBA players like really rock the tees, and then the socks came, and then the hats came, and I'm going, holy shit! Like, and then next thing you know, you see Rhude on GQ, like, you know, started seeing other magazines, and it's like, yo, this brand about to blow up.
Well, if you got BTS wearing Rhude, then
dude, I'm telling you,
that I think. To me, that's like a huge accomplishment.
And that's something that we don't even understand, because that's them organically buying.
Yeah.
You know, because they're sending 100%. It to us. It's like, oh, that's cool. You guys know who that is? And we're like, I mean, no. And then they're like, you don't know who this is? And we're like, no, like, this is like bigger than America right here, you know? Like, this is something huge. And we're like, oh, okay. Like, we're so focused on like you said, like LeBron or athletes wearing it, that's like, oh, okay.
There's like a worldwide.
We're big time. You know, we're looking at the Lakers like, oh, yeah. Like, they're, you know, NBA, but we're not thinking like world. You know, because we're so focused on like West Coast, because like that's the origin, you know. But it's not West Coast anymore.
No,
you know,
it's not
global.
It's global now.
You know, to see stuff like that is like, oh, okay. Like, the design is really getting that far. You know, it's not just a niche SoCal thing anymore.
No.
You know,
it's way bigger than that now.
Do you think it's the design, or do you think it's like the network that he was building?
That's a great question.
I think it's both. But he's very good at what he does. You know, like, you put him in front of anyone and he'll impress you. You know, so like, it's organically like, oh, like, I wanna support. And how can I support? It just so happens that you have to support via a $600 hoodie. You know, but, you know, or whatever. But like, it's just the personality and the product both definitely go hand to hand. But our job is to ensure that we're not cutting corners on the quality of construction because it is him.
Yeah.
You know, it is his name, and we respect that. So like, we need to take into consideration that consumers are paying $600 for a hoodie.
Yeah.
And you know, is this seam necessary right there? Do we really need to make it clean finish on everything? Like, ideally, you're adding like $1, and it's adding up, but it's necessary. Yeah.
So, question for you. So, how closely do you work with Rhude on, you know, because with product development, since you are part of that team?
So he'll design everything out. He'll kind of create the blueprint. You know, he'll say, this is the vision. This is my inspiration. These are the colors I've been drawn to. He'll sketch it out, and he's basically the artisanal part. And our job is to understand the fits of the clothes and create his imagination, his designs, his vision for a product, and apply it to a pre-existing silhouette, like a hoodie or a quarter zip or a t-shirt. And then we'll create a sample and say, hey, you know, based off of the conversation we had, based off of your design and instruction, this is what we came up with. What do you want to change? And he'll go back and forth. He'll make notes. And it's like, I think of design like a conversation. You know, you talk to me like, hey, I like these colors. The desert inspires me. You know, I kind of like tequila, whatever. I've traveled to Cabo, and I kind of want to create a shirt that resembles that. You know, so I'll take all of that information. I'll think about what button up you wear often, because that's clearly your favorite button up. I'll think about, you know, traveling. I'll think about breathability. I'll think about all those things, and I'll create imagery. I'll create, you know, applications on stuff, and I'll present it to you. And you'll be like, oh, I like this fabrication, super flowy. You know, if I was in the Bahamas, this would be super breathable, but I want something to wear for the wintertime. All right, I'd use the same block, get a thicker fabric, something that's a little more warmer, or something that might keep you warm, you know, while you're out and about, so you don't need to layer up. And it's just like applying different fabrics to the same silhouette so that it could be a summertime tee or a wintertime tee.
So if you had to choose like 10 different like designs or products, how many get rejected in that process?
Some are a hit right away because the vision was just exact match, like we understood exactly. And some get to the point where we go back and forth maybe 5 or 6 times to the point where we get to the end product and it looks nothing like the first conversation we had, but he's like, that's fire. That's cool. Yeah. It looks good. Like, it wasn't where we started, but I'm glad we got there somehow based off of the initial conversation.
And what's up with the sizes? So I remember buying my first Rhude tee, right? And I got like a small. I'm normally small. Dude, came in, right? I'm like, yo, this fits like a large, dog. Like, so what's the inspiration behind like the sizes?
The sizing for me, like, I don't have a question for that. I was a consumer at first when I was at Revolve.
Yeah.
We had Rhude at Revolve.
Yeah.
I used my discount. I'd be like, yeah, you know, 50% off Rhude. Like, I'm
hell
flexing
yeah,
it.
yeah.
But again, I got the medium, and the marble tee was long.
Bruh, it was like
and I'm like,
a dress.
Okay, you know what, athletes. That's initially what I thought.
Yeah,
As a consumer,
yeah,
athletes. You know, it looks great on a basketball player. I'm not the frame.
Yeah, you're not the frame.
I was just like, you know, since I worked at Revolve, I returned it. I got extra small, you know. But I was just like, I wasn't involved at that point. But I think at first, since the initial people that caught on to it were athletes, he was just like, you know what, like, I need to make this oversized. Yeah, a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
So we've gone from that, you know, we've adjusted to the average consumer, but some of the oversized stuff just looks good.
It does.
Athletes.
Yeah.
You know, on athletes. So there we have.
Thank you.
You're definitely an athlete, Jinu Park.
We have to keep some of that because we're thinking about like it should be more like your average person, you know. But if it's your average person and you put on an athlete, it's gonna look a little short. Yeah, and if our athletes are the number one thing that people recognize the product by, like we have to cater to them, you know.
I feel you.
Yeah.
So I have a question about the culture of Rhude and like, you know, what it is now, right? Like, what do you think, like, how do you think Rhude has impacted the streetwear culture, and where do you think it's gonna go in the next few years?
I feel like streetwear in general was very, it was almost like a tunnel vision industry. Like, you could tell when somebody took a product from another high fashion brand and replicated it. You'll be like, oh, that's Rick Owens. You know, you will call it out. Like, all right,
Dark Shadow, Rick Owens.
Yeah, you changed the drawstring, but
you're still
like,
Rick Owens.
You know, at least change it enough to where I can't tell where that initial design came from. And I felt like for a while, like everyone was just focused on the same mood board. Like if there was like just a generic mood board going around and people were like, oh, yeah, I'm gonna take that, and you pass it to the next designer and they're like, yeah, I'm gonna take that. But I feel like Rhude has stayed true to like his ideal vision of the brand. And the fact that like it's an open conversation of design as far as like, hey, I have an idea for a denim jacket. You know, this is our old denim jacket, but I kind of want to like, I want to freak it, you know, like a little, I want to make it artisanal, you know, maybe some distressing, maybe like dirty it up, you know. And I'm not going to go to a wash house and be like, dirty it up, you know, like artisanal, you know, like I have to take the time to like research what other brands are doing and how they acquire a certain, you know, rigid, rustic look or whatever. And like, just if you apply that to every single product, instead of just focusing on what everyone else is doing, like we were so focused on the product we were creating that our product just ended up developing into different product, but it was all generally like the same. You know, it was like very accustomed to us because we were just trying to perfect the design. We were trying to perfect the hoodie. And like I said, the hoodie sometimes didn't turn out how we envisioned it, but we created a new product. It was like, all right, this is a new product. People seen this old product and we had a conversation and created this new one that we tried getting similar to this old one, but created a whole new one. And this one's better. So let's build off this new one that we built from our past silhouettes, you know? Yeah. Whereas I feel like a lot of people go outward. A lot of brands go outward at what other people are doing. Look at trends, forecasts. You know, there's always a trend forecast that goes out like this is the color of the year. Yeah. Corduroy is going to be the fabric of the year. Whatever it is. But I felt like we were so focused on like perfecting everything that we weren't looking outward for inspiration. We were just trying to enhance our quality overall. Think about different design applications, you know, like he would take a trip to Monaco or something and we would be looking at the tile, you know, in the pictures that he's traveling to organically. And we would kind of just base it off lifestyle things that he already does, but we would, as the design team, like we would have to dissect the things that he's interested and apply that to the product, you know? So like whatever he's drawn to, he's not always drawn to Rhude, you know? He's like his other designer brands. He likes other brands in general, you know? But it's the details that he's drawn to in those other brands that we pay attention to. Instead of just looking at what other brands are doing and what's similar in the trend forecast, we're looking at pieces, you know, we're looking at fabrication, we're looking at like different little details that he's drawn to and creating product around that.
Is that, how long is a process like from start to finish? Like when he has this like idea of what he initially wants, does he give you guys like a timeline of like what's supposed to happen, or what does that look like?
So we usually have a window every January and every June. In January we present autumn winter for the year after. Okay. And in June we show spring summer for the next year. Okay. So the months leading up to June and leading up to January, it's full design mode. There's just a list of things that he's inspired by, a list of fabrics that he wants to try and, you know, use, and current silhouettes that we have, and sometimes it's new stuff that we haven't done before. If it's plug and play fabric to an already existing silhouette, very little time. You know, it's just, all right, maybe it stretches a little different, so we got to take a little bit off, whatever. But if he's sketching something out and trying to create a whole new product, it's really our job to try and understand what the vision is based off the fit of the other garment. If it's an outerwear piece, we have to look at our current outerwear offerings and be like, all right, it kind of has to be similar in fit, you know, a little cropped, a little puffy, and just go built off of that. So it really depends. There's some products where we develop and we go back and forth, and we're just like, you know what, like, we're gonna have to sacrifice it. Like, we're spending too much time trying to perfect this. It's taken away from developing other stuff, and we need to show. You know, so there's stuff that we sacrifice and we'll like come up like months later. It's like, oh, like what happened to this design? It's like, oh, we just never finished it. It's like, let's bring it back. You know, now that there's time, let's focus on it. Maybe since, you know, we already did our sales in Paris, we'll do something e-commerce and we'll just do direct to consumer, you know, a fresh design that no one's seen, whatever. But a lot of ideas, you know, we try and get finalized for production, but sometimes, you know, you just got to choose the right time to just forget about it and pick it up some other time, you know.
Is the goal just to stay in the menswear category, or is it to be able to expand?
We've been showing women's maybe the past 3 seasons.
Oh, okay.
It's just not that easy to really build. You know, like we're so focused on men's. We do have women designers in now, a full women's team actually focused on women's.
Didn't Saweetie rock like an entire like?
She did,
like
yeah.
Rhude, like at that last in LA.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, it was like a.
That was one of the women's samples that we developed. But it's like we're trying to create a system where it's like a collaborative group effort on the men's and then the women's, instead of like the women's coming in and doing their thing while the men's are doing theirs, and we're assisting with the knowledge. You know, so it's still like we're still in that phase of like building the relationship internally with his vision in women's, you know, so it's definitely a work in progress. But the women's space, it's hard to compete, you know. Man. Women want their my Gucci,
the Louis,
my Prada, you know, like that's just branded and still for generations. And to get a female to put up that much money for a product of ours that's strictly looked at athletic, you know, men's wear space, it's like we have to draw the line, you know, because we don't want the women's to be a men's version. We want it to be like what a Rhude boy would be attracted to.
Oh, that's
you know?
Okay, that's very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, even just driving down Fashion District, there's so much competition in the female market, right? And then there's a few pockets here and there that do men's clothing. And I remember, you know, doing door-to-door sales and walking in and talking to like a men's clothing, you know, for the first time. And he was saying, oh, our business is actually profitable because we're focused on men's. And how many men's stores do you see around here? And I was like, oh, that's pretty interesting. Because, like I said, for me, buying clothes, I didn't really buy any clothes. So I'm like, So it's like people like you that would go in and buy that kind of stuff. But
I mean, it's literally culture, right? Like, you know, clothes in like hip hop and streetwear. I mean, it kind of represents who you are. You know, it represents you kind of what you like, and it shows your personality, right? And you know, he was talking about earlier, like, you know, hey, I'll be coming in like all fit, you know, and like girls would like compliment me. I mean, that also kind of gives us, you know, an ego boost. You know what I mean?
For sure.
But I think for me, it's like, what's next for Rhude and what's next for you?
Whoa, what's next for Rhude and what's next for me? What's next for Rhude is, honestly, we've been on this just trajectory of just, it's like a roller coaster, you know, but I don't know if it's ever like coming down, you know, like when we started, it was so small, and now to look back at to see the stuff that I started doing and the stuff that I'm doing now, it's like, it's been growing so much, and everything's manufactured here in LA. We do have some stuff in Italy, but manufacturing in LA, just in general, it's difficult. It's so difficult. It's so difficult because like you need to just be very like detail oriented, because like you can't be making mistakes on production, because like the overhead on just labor alone is a lot. You know, like some of these pieces, when I'm talking about we have to make another seam, that's time on the machine. You know, and if we're doing, you know, thousands of units, that's thousands of seconds more. You know, the more hoodies we make, the more seconds it is on those machines. And it's like, we're getting to the point where it's like the factories that we're in, they almost need to become like Rhude factories. Yeah. You know, they got other clients, you know, like there needs to be more work. Like there's technically not enough work because like, I mean, rent's expensive here to manufacture, you know, you have to have insurance, you know, all that stuff plays a factor on like what keeps a factory alive. And people, just with the pandemic and everything, like people got laid off and they're catching the unemployment, and some workers are just like, you know what, I'd rather be home with my kids and catch the unemployment. Then some factories are strenuous. You know, we got deadlines like, yo, I got this very urgent deadline. You guys need to meet it. You guys aren't working fast enough. You know, like that's manufacturing in general, but like we try and create the environment of like understanding, you know, that the sewers have a life, you know, that they have other stuff going. So like, that's why we're in so many places, because if we chose to take over those factories, we would be that company like, yo, there's deadlines, you know, but it's my job to like go and find like another factory that's the same standard as our current ones and be like, hey, you know, like maybe we'll get a couple styles in here, take the load off of you. You know, I know your guys have been working overtime like the past 2 weeks. Like that's not right for them. You know, like they need a break too. I can't just come in here urgent. So like we're kind of like spread out throughout the manufacturing district in LA, but it's getting to the point where it's a lot of units, you know. And
can you guys handle?
I mean, we've been handling, you know, but it's just the factory part. It's just a lot of people go elsewhere, you know. They'll cut here and they'll manufacture in Honduras or whatever because like price point, it's you know, price point, of course,
about quality.
But I just feel like Rhude's kind of been built off of, you know, LA, and it's like, we want to keep the business here, you know. So 100%. It's difficult to grow the business and not grow the factories, you know. So we need to have both. So I mean, Rhude's always going to be doing its thing. It's just about, you know, convincing workers that there's something worth coming back to. You know, like we need to create the environment that's like, you know what, like I've been, collecting unemployment, or some people even left sewing to, do car washes, whatever, other jobs that are bringing in the same revenue with less of a headache, So like we're trying to create the environment that, I'll bring in fruit on Saturdays, or Thursdays, or bring in whatever. I'll bring in food and show them that like we appreciate them, and they'll tell their friends, hey, like if you guys think about sewing, I got a factory. They take care of us. They're cool. Like it's good working conditions. Like if anyone's, you'll drive around the manufacturing area and there's signs like sewers needed. But sewers are so like damaged that it's like I don't want to go to that toxic environment. The fashion industry is so demanding, But like we need sewers now, like more than ever. And it's like it's hard for the sewers that are sewing our stuff. I mean, not our stuff, people's stuff in general, to tell their nieces and nephews like, you guys should try this, because they're like, I've been doing this the past 20 years, and you know what? Like, I don't want my kids to go through this. Yeah. So it's almost like a dying craft, and like we need to show them like that this is worth, teaching your children or teaching family members that may not have a skill set, because I'm bringing business and I'm creating, a good environment for them to learn in, basically.
100%. Yeah. Let me ask you, like, after like listening to your entire story, what does your mom think now?
She's proud. After she's seen me go to Paris, she was just like, "Are you sure? Like you're going to Paris? Like for fashion?
Vegas? Yeah. Vegas, Paris?
Are you doing an internship? Like, lifting boxes?
Yeah. What kind of work are they having you do here? And I mean, I sent, I landed in Paris. I was like, I landed here safely. She's like, why do they need you there in Paris? And I was like, oh, like, I know the product, and like when we got to Paris, I was in charge of like getting the product to the showroom. And since I was in the showroom, buyers, Neiman Marcus, Saks Fifth, Maxfield, everyone was in there trying to buy stuff their stores, that's how it happens. And since they were asking so many questions about the product, they're like, oh, David knows. Because he's the one that made these samples. So I would have on like a size medium in the short, and they're like, oh, like what size are you in the short? Like, would you suggest a large is like a 34? Like just basic questions, because consumers are going to go into their stores and they want to cater to them. So they want to ask all kinds of questions. And I was like, oh, all right, let me help you with this. Yeah, the size range on this. I would suggest if you're a large, you buy a medium, whatever. And they was like, oh, okay. It's actually useful to have someone that knows the product out here, because when the buyers are asking questions, like Rhude is doing his thing. He has meeting after meeting, and it's like there's no one there to answer. There's people that the fashion administration gives us to handle the sales. Like they'll be on iPads. Like, oh, you want a shirt times 10? Okay. You want a shirt times 20? Cool. But if a buyer asks that person on iPad, like, oh, what do you think about this shirt? I mean, it's Rhude. What they don't know the product. Yeah. So being in the showroom really showed the company that like, oh, like it's valuable to have someone that knows the stuff that we're selling, know? But yeah, my mom was, after my mom seen that, she was like, oh wow, like you're actually learning a lot, like that's good, yada yada. So she's definitely like, she felt like, she did her job. She was like, it wasn't the route that I thought, but I'm just glad that you're happy, doing something that you enjoy.
Yeah. So if you had to give anybody advice on anybody that wants to go towards like a similar path or anything related to going into the industry, what advice would you give them?
Don't overlook any opportunity. Any opportunity that comes to you within the industry, even if it's like part of the industry, like product shots, taking photos of the garments is part of the industry. And if it's whatever foot in the door you get in, whichever it's sales, development, design, photos, web design, whatever it is, there's so many ways to get in. Don't overlook or bypass opportunity, because you don't know what that opportunity might get you into. And if you're a good enough worker, you don't know who's gonna like throw your name around like, oh, I know so and so does it for us, I recommend him. So even if it's a small project that you think is pointless, like there's people depending on you to execute it, and if you execute it well enough, they'll vouch for you.
That's right. Who would have ever thunk the guy that I met that stashed 3 bottles,
dude, that's crazy,
did a bunch of internships making no money, lifting boxes,
dude, it's insane.
And look at him now.
I know,
he's all grown
up. What a crazy story, dude. How you guys got connected was crazy in itself.
It's a beautiful story.
Yeah.
And piggybacking off of Migs' question, what's next for you?
What's next for me? I mean, as I develop myself within the company, you know, I'm learning more. I thought I wanted to be a merchandiser. I thought I wanted to style clothes on mannequins, you know, when I first started school. That was it.
I feel you. I feel you.
And now that I'm here, you know, developing products and helping with e-commerce and still doing a little logistics, you know, in-house, like I just find myself just wanting to learn more. You know, like those 3 categories that I picked up, I enjoy all 3 of them, but I'd like to have every category underneath me so that I'm just well-rounded. You know, basically education in my job duties, you know?
You're still a student, you know.
Yeah,
you never
never
stop
not
learning.
Never not learning.
Love that.
Well, David, how can people reach out to you? We're gonna give you a plug here. So how can people reach out to you? You have social media, Instagram, or any of that?
Social media works. I'm a little private, so send a request. But social media usually works if you guys have any questions or if there's anyone that's on a similar route.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
I'm more than willing to help out in any way I could, but that does not mean ask for a job at Rhude. I get that a lot, you know, and it's if I started off just asking for a job at a high place, I would get a lot of no's because you got to get your foot in the door.
That's right.
So you're saying I can't live give you my resume that I brought to you?
I would have to respectfully decline.
But what is your handle?
My handle's Dayzoh at DEYZOH.
Okay.
Cool.
I don't know if you want to do a plug for Rhude, like their Instagram. I'm sure people would just look it up, but
Yeah, RHUDE.
Yeah, it's pretty
Check in the
easy.
search bar.
It's in the hats.
Right there.
Yeah, it's in the hats. Yeah.
And then if you want to check out our Instagram as well too at @the_Kickspot, we'll be able to plug David as well too.
Yes, sir.
And then check out our YouTube, Kickspot, and all the other places.
Yeah,
I feel like it's like a redundant thing I say every
all
single
good.
time, but people are
Like, subscribe, comment. You already know what to do.
You know, it is what it is. Well, David, we appreciate your story.
Yes, sir.
I'm very blessed to have you as a friend, and you know, we'll be able to grow together. And I think we had that discussion where it's like, hey, anybody that we meet, it's just like family, and we just want to be able to all
100%.
grow and grow together. So
Cool.
all right, we'll catch y'all later. Peace.
Deuce.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to Kickspot.